Tonight's big stories. Is it a case of stolen identity? Doubts surrounding the identity of suspended Bamban Mayor Alice Guo grow stronger after Senator Hontiveros bared a document showing a picture of another woman bearing the same name.
The Philippines sends China a fresh note verbal over the recent hostilities in Ayungin Shoal. Officials from both countries are set to meet for bilateral consultations next month.
And later on, we will be speaking with Senator Bato de la Rosa about his decision to skip the House probe into the Duterte drug war and his thoughts on the recent announcement that 3 Dutertes will be gunning for the Senate in 2025.
Welcome to The Big Story. I'm Gretchen Ho.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Shawn Yao.
Straight into our top story for tonight. It was alleged in a Senate hearing earlier that the identity of Bamban Mayor Alice Guo could be that of another person.
An NBI document showed that there are 2 Alice Leal Guos with the same birthday and names spelled the same. But the senators were unable to personally confront the mayor because she was absent from today's hearing. Mayan Los Baños has the big story.
2 Alice Leal Guos but different faces. This was presented by Senator Hontiveros in the continuation of the Senate hearing on the raided Bamban Pogo Hub. The one on the left is the mayor of Bamban Tarlac, while the other woman bears the same name. The information came from the NBI clearance of both Guos. The other Alice Leal Guo has the same birthday as Mayor Guo, which is July 12, 1986. Both of them, according to the document, were born in Tarlac. Hontiveros believes that Mayor Guo stole the identity of a Filipino to eventually run for political office.
Sino po ang babaeng ito na may pangalang Alice Leal Guo pero hindi kamukha ni Mayor? Nasaan na po siya ngayon? Malinaw na sa hindi bulag o nagbubulag-bulagan, iisang tao lang, si Mayor Alice Guo at si Guo Huaping. In fact, it appears that the name Alice Guo was stolen from a Filipino. Hindi lang citizenship ang ninakaw, pati identidad ng isang kababayan natin.
According to NBI Regional Director Jerry Abiera, to obtain an NBI clearance, an applicant must personally visit their office. So how did both manage to get cleared?
Ang mas maganda, ma-determine natin dahil yung fingerprint, magkakaiba talaga yan para ma-determine natin whether or not yung tao na yan at saka yung si Mayor ay magkaiba.
Nag-aalala din po ako para sa babae na nasa clearance ninyo. Yung either kapangalan ni Alice Leal Guo o yung totoong Alice Leal Guo. Pwede po bang i-ascertain ng NBI yung kinaroroonan nitong Alice Leal Guo?
Papahanap natin, ma'am.
Hontiveros has since requested the NBI for the biometrics of suspended Mayor Guo, as well as Guo Huaping, the alleged Chinese identity of the mayor, for comparison. Mayor Guo was not able to defend herself as she was absent during the hearing. But in the letter she sent to the Senate, Guo stated that she was not fit to be a resource person. The stress and anxiety, according to her, have affected her physical and mental health due to the damaging allegations. Although absent, the scrutiny continued on Mayor Guo and her alleged connection to Pogo operation in the country. There were pieces of evidence allegedly linking Pogo in Bamban Tarlac and to a raided Pogo hub in Porac, Pampanga.
Mayor Alice certainly likes having friends in high places. Hindi po basta-basta ang mga kaibigan niya. Considering that this woman is now charged with qualified human trafficking, it is imperative that her links and networks are fully investigated.
Meanwhile, the Philippine Statistics Authority has endorsed to the Office of the Solicitor General the cancellation of Mayor Guo's birth certificate. Once this happens, this will be additional evidence in quo warranto case against the mayor. She could also possibly be deported. Also present in the hearing was Senator Lito Lapid, who denied being the owner of the 10-hectare Lucky South 99 Pogo Hub in his hometown of Porac, Pampanga.
Kaya po ako naghahamon dito. Kung ako napatunayan nilang kasali ako dyan, pwede akong mag-resign bilang senador. Dahil hindi ko po papayagan na masisira ang pangalan ko rito.
The Senate is set to conduct further hearings in the coming days. For News 5, Mayan Los Baños, we are One News.
Well, okay, NBI clearance. I think almost everybody has gotten one. And the whole point of having an NBI clearance is, yun nga, just to make sure na, kunyari si Pauline Versosa, kunyari may 10 Pauline Versosa, to make sure na ikaw yung walang criminal record na Pauline Versosa.
Pero when I apply, usually may mga hit talaga, di ba? But what are the chances na yung
Pati yung
kapareho
birthday.
Birthday, birthplace.
Pero sabi dito, yung NBA clearance daw, nakuha days before the certificate of registration, late registration. Parang may
Yes.
ganun
Of her
pang
birth
detalye.
cert. Oo.
Pero ang pinagtatakhan ko talaga, yung isa pang Alice Guo na lumitaw, hindi naman siya mukhang Chinese. Kasi, di ba, Alice Leal Guo?
Well, siya talaga kung,
Hindi siya
let's say
mukhang
totoo,
Chinese.
di ba? Di half Chinese siya. As we know, genetics is a funny thing. It could be meron akong friends sa mga half Chinese. Yung isa, super mukhang Chinese. Yung isang kapatid naman niya, super mukhang Filipino. So, it could be that, di ba? Pero, ang tanong, nasaan siya? At bakit hindi siya mahanap ng team or ng staff ni Senator Risa Hontiveros?
Well, we do have to find, we hope they find the other Alice Guo so we can get down to some answers.
And just a coincidence, di ba? July 12,
1986.
1986.
Pero,
In Tarlac.
pero iba yung yung birthday ni, ano pa
Ni
Guo
Guo
Huaping is
nasa August 30,
Pareho kami
1990.
1990.
So, kumbaga magiging 4 years older siya dapat.
oo.
I guess we just have to wait until the authorities locate the other
I think they're looking
Alice
now
Guo.
for the fingerprints.
Yan.
Kung kanino yung nakaregister doon.
Ayan na. So, I guess
Biometrics.
magkakaalaman na tayo soon.
No, but it is interesting. Digging up records, being able to find this and that. At least we do know that we have those existent and we keep those in
Records, right?
And to note also, Alice was not present in today's hearing. So, maraming ang tanong pa rin ng mga senador natin. And of course, the Filipino people. Kung,
Pero naiintindihan ko rin naman kung bakit ayaw niyo siguro sumipot dun sa hearing, di ba? Kasi
lalo na today na na-release din tong information na they
Okay.
found another Alice.
So while we wait for more answers on that never-ending mystery na punong-puno ng plot twist, lipat muna tayo sa West Philippine Sea. The Philippines issues a note verbal to China protesting their aggressive actions in the Ayungin Shoal on June 17 that injured at least one Filipino soldier. Ria Fernandez with the story.
The Philippines has sent out a note verbal to China to protest the intentional ramming of Philippine boats and harassment of Filipino soldiers conducting a resupply mission in Ayungin Shoal on June 17. Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo said he also spoke with Chinese Ambassador Wang Xilian about the encounter. However, Manalo did not provide details about their conversation. What's clear is that the Philippines will confront China directly about the altercation once officials of the two nations meet in the upcoming bilateral consultation mechanism on the South China Sea, set in July. The National Security Council meanwhile refused to comment on these developments for now. They hope, though, that China will be transparent in its dialogue with the Philippines. Prior to this, Manalo faced journalists from over 30 countries in a gathering organized by the East-West Center here at the Philippine International Convention Center, or PICC, in Pasay City. And according to the Secretary, only faithful implementation of the laws covering the waters will effectively reduce conflict on the West Philippine Sea. Though China has long claimed parts of the West Philippine Sea that fall within their 9-dash line, Secretary Manalo says the Philippines will continue standing for its rights to the territory based on the 2016 arbitral award that invalidated China's claim.
What keeps me optimistic? Because we have the side of law on our side. That's why I'm optimistic.
No country can claim almost the entirety of the South China Sea as its territory and use such claim to justify illegal and dangerous actions in waters over which we have sovereignty, sovereign rights, and jurisdiction.
Manalo also blasted critics who are belittling the Philippines' position in the West Philippine Sea and branding the Philippine government as a puppet of the United States. The Secretary says the Philippines is fighting for its own sovereign rights and not America's interests.
This reductionist view muddles our understanding of the complex situation on the ground or the sea and detracts from the real crux of the issue.
For their part, U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines Mary Kay Carlson says they support the Philippines' position. They also reiterated their call for China to refrain from harassing Filipinos in the disputed territory.
As we heard Secretary Manalo said, the Philippines has an agenda that stands on its own. And as our partner, we support that. They are not a pawn in a great power game, but it is certainly in our interest to ensure that bullying behavior does not go unchecked, that we check that behavior not only for ourselves, but for the rest of the globe.
For News 5, Ria Fernandez, We Are One News.
Still on that event, National Security Council Assistant Director General Jonathan Malaya said they haven't triggered the Mutual Defense Treaty as the June 17 incident at Ayungin Shoal cannot be considered an act of war. He said this at the international media conference organized by the East-West Center at the PICC. Malaya said they will continue their transparency initiatives, but that these have to be coupled with diplomatic engagement and improving the country's diplomatic capabilities.
Let me just elaborate and clarify that the Philippines refuses to invoke the Mutual Defense Treaty, not because of a technicality. No, it is not merely a technicality, because first and foremost, for us to be able to invoke the Mutual Defense Treaty requires us to determine if the situation is serious enough to begin the collective self-defense, the collective defense arrangements between the Philippines and America. And this requires us to determine if what happened in Ayungin Shoal in June 17 is actually an act of war, okay, or is it just an attempt by the Chinese Coast Guard, which is not even military, the Chinese Coast Guard, to disrupt our resupply mission. We have to look at this for what it is. We have to appreciate the facts with calm and with less passion, no? And take a look at what really happened. And if, without downplaying what happened, because indeed it was an illegal use of force, it was not an act of war. What the Chinese wanted to do was to disrupt our resupply mission and stop us from doing the resupply. Because if it was an act of war, they would have utilized the Navy. They would have utilized everything in their arsenal. So the last time we were invaded was during World War II. When Japan invaded us, we knew we were being invaded. In this case, we were not being invaded. It was an operation meant to disrupt the resupply mission. So on that basis, we cannot consider this as an act of war. Therefore, the Philippines is not in a position to invoke the Mutual Defense Treaty.
Very, very clear now where the government stands on invoking the Mutual Defense Treaty. That was at the panel moderated by our co-anchor, Regina Lay.
In case you're wondering, that's why she has not been around.
Nandun din ako kanina, pinag-uusapan namin yan, no? So sinabi niya kasi that invoking the Mutual Defense Treaty should not and does not hinge on technicalities. Ibig sabihin, yung definition ng armed attack, we have been dissecting what armed attack means. Sabi hindi yun. Sinasabi niya, is there an intentional act of war here? Sinasabi na no, this was meant to prevent the resupply mission, but not really to provoke war or bring things to that end. And I'd like to correct the report also. He also commented on the transparency initiative of the government, that it has to be coupled with diplomatic channels, being able to enhance that, and enhancing defense, not diplomatic, defense capability. So there has been criticism on the government's asserted transparency initiative. So yun ang sagot niya. 360 naman daw ang
Dapat, no? Kasi yun nga yung criticism doon sa transparency initiative. It seems to be not part of a bigger strategy, although we keep using the tactic, and most people have agreed, and most analysts have agreed na effective naman. But what you just said, no, as to what the ADG Malaya said, mukhang pasok naman din. That's what other analysts that we've spoken to have been saying. Diba? Na gumawa tayo ng plan, beef up our defense, which we're already doing, and it will take time. And of course, continue on the
Kanina
diplomatic
tinatanong ko
route.
din si ADG, ano? Kasi sabi nga natin, yung recommendation ng mga analysts natin, sana isa lang yung magsalita. So sabi nila, that has been part of the strategy of government. Maraming nagsasalita. And they've been consistent naman with their messaging. This time around, looks like medyo nagkakaproblema doon sa messaging na yon. Kaya pabago-bago.
Ang tanong dyan, may impact ba yung pagka-clean up ng mga statements, ngayon na cohesive na ang statement, mabubura ba nun yung kaguluhan na nagyari late last week?
We do hope we learn our lessons, right? And then approach this better.
Okay, break
Alright.
muna tayo.
Okay, ladies, we'll pause for a bit, but after the break, residents in the 10 Embo barangays would not be able to vote for candidates running for a House seat in next year's midterm elections. We'll discuss this with COMELEC spokesperson Attorney Alice Leal Guo when the big story returns. Keep it here. You're still watching the big story here on One News. The COMELEC has ruled that residents in the 10 Embo barangays, now under the jurisdiction of Taguig City, will not be able to vote for their congressman in the 2025 midterm elections. The COMELEC explained that this is because the Embo barangays have not yet been assigned their designated Taguig districts. The poll body said there has to be a law on which districts to put these barangays in. The COMELEC adds that they decided on the matter early to give parties enough time to question it before the Supreme Court. As early as now, though, Makati Mayor Abby Binay is questioning the move, saying city councilors are elected by legislative districts, so why should electing House members be any different?
To help clear things out for us, we have with us tonight COMELEC spokesperson Attorney Alice Leal Guo. Good evening, Attorney.
Good evening, Ms. Gretchen, Ms. Shawn, Ms. Pauline, and to all the viewers of The Big Story. Magandang gabi po.
Attorney Rex, we've been talking about time. Question is, do we have enough time before the next elections next year to be able to assign these Embo barangays to legislative districts, or will they be disenfranchised?
We believe so that we have enough time naman po, Ma'am Gretchen. This issue came up because of the decision of the Supreme Court, wherein 10 out of the 13 barangays from the 2nd District of Makati were declared by the Supreme Court to be part of the Taguig City. So there's no issue as for them voting for the national position, senators and party lists. There's no issue for them in voting for their city officials like the mayor, the vice mayor, and the council. But we all know that when it comes to the legislative districts, there is a law that should determine and say specifically which barangays will form part of this legislative district. Unfortunately, in the decision of the Supreme Court po, walang binanggit kung saan sila malalagay na barangay. First district po ba ng Taguig, second district, or will they remain in the 2nd District of Makati? And COMELEC has no power po na mag-assign or kami ang mag-determine kung saan sila boboto.
From your initial statements yesterday, coming from the COMELEC, Attorney Rex, very clear naman po yung sinabi nyo na dapat sa Congress ang Congress ang mag-initiate nito because only Congress can determine which barangays belong to a certain district, and they are the only ones with the power to create, divide, or abolish districts. Now, having said that, how are we on this? Meron na bang nag-sponsor ng bill? Meron na bang naka-file? Where are we on that? Would you know?
So far, Ma'am Shawn, we have no information yet as to that matter. Pero ang sinasabi nga po namin, maaring dalawa po ang maging resolusyon sa bagay nito. Maari po sigurong magkaroon ng clarification sa decision ng Supreme Court na ma-determine na natin saan district ba talaga yung mga kababayan natin sa 10 embos na mabibilong. Pwede rin naman po sa pamamagitan ng legislation, amending the old charters of the cities, or a new legislation po regarding this. So ang tingin naman po namin may sufficient time at anuman po maging desisyon, be it through a legislation by Congress or through the decision of the Supreme Court, COMELEC is ready po to implement this. And nasa June pa lang naman po tayo, kayang-kaya pa po implement ng COMELEC yan.
Follow-up lang, Attorney Rex. If we go through the Supreme Court route, can you explain to us in layman's terms po how that goes and kumbaga, ano yung proseso to get that ball rolling and who will have to initiate asking the Supreme Court for that clarification?
Marami naman pong parties dun sa case po na tungkol dito, no? Both the cities of Makati and Taguig are litigants in this case. So any one of them can file a motion for reconsideration or a clarification from the Supreme Court. Napakalawak po ng kapangyarihan ng ating Korte Suprema kung na-determine nga po nila kung saan magiging parte ng syudad itong mga 10 Embo barangays. Nakikita rin po namin if the Supreme Court deems it. Hindi naman po namin sinasabi na gagawin. But kung gagawin po ng Korte Suprema, susundin po natin yan and it will form part of the laws of the land.
Would it not be weird though, last follow-up, if Makati asks the Supreme Court, wouldn't it make more sense just hearing like how it's coming around, no? Kung yung Taguig na lang yung mag-ask for clarification kasi ang ending naman ay magiging nasa isang distrito nila yan or magbubuo ng bagong distrito sa Taguig.
Tama naman po, medyo hindi nga po ganun kaganda tignan. Pero ang sinasabi nga po namin dito, meron kasing kaso na pinagmulan ng lahat ng issue na to. At dun sa kaso po na yan, meron mga party litigants, kasama na po ang Taguig at ang Makati City. So kung meron man pong paunang may karapatan para magtanong muli sa Supreme Court kung kasama ba sa lipatan ng jurisdiction na yan, yung ating pong legislative districts, ay sila po talaga yon. At any rate, wala naman po makakapigil sa ating mga mambabatas kung sila rin naman po ay magka-craft ng law, mag-e-enact sila ng batas para linawin din po ang mga bagay na ito. Tatandaan po natin, lahat ng mga bagay na ito, lahat ng legislative districts po ay nababatay sa Section 6 at Section 4 ng ating Constitution na nagsasabing talagang dapat na-apportion ang bawat barangay. Malinaw dapat nagsasabi sino-sino ang kaparte ng bawat legislative district ng ating bansa.
Attorney Rex, sabi mo nga, no, it's possible to have this law passed before the midterm elections. Pero if we're talking about the timeline, how fast? Kaya ba yan within the year? Or baka next year na po yan? And since we also have to account for all scenarios, no? So what if hindi matuloy itong law? Ano po mangyayari sa elections for next year?
Dalawang bagay po, kung matutuloy man po either through a law or sa pamamagitan ng desisyon ng Supreme Court, at kung magagawa po natin ito, sana bago po kami makapag-finalize po ng ating ballot phase templates, kasi inaasahan po namin with the filing of the COC from October 1 to 8 and then the cases being resolved within October and November, makapagsisimula na po mag-imprenta ng balota ang COMELEC by December. Sana po, kung mayroong mang batas o desisyon na bago, magawa po ito bago mag-December. Kasi hindi lang naman po yung balota ang iniisip namin dito, kundi po pati mismo yung configuration ng ating mga makina. Magka-match po kasi yan, balota at makina. At yung sinasabi nga po namin, kung hindi maisakatuparan ang paglilinaw sa bagay na to, whether through a legislation or decision, talaga pong hindi natin mauobliga o hindi natin magagawang pabotohin ang ating mga kababayan sa EMBO pagdating lamang sa posisyon po ng member of their House of Representatives.
Okay, we have less than 6 months then. Taking a look at the timeline that you mentioned. Pag hindi nagawa ito by December, what happens now to the 10 EMBO barangays? Ibig sabihin ba hindi sila makakapag-boto para sa kanilang congressman? Ma-freeze ba sila?
Tama po, Ma'am Gretchen. Yun po yung scenario na nakikita namin kasi hindi naman po pwedeng COMELEC po ang magdidikta at magsasabi na dito sila boboto, ito ang kanilang sets ng kandidato. Wala po yan at labas po yan sa kapangyarihan namin. Talagang kailangan po, yung napag-usapan nga natin, matapos po ito sa pamamagitan ng isang batas or decision, pero hopefully and we're praying po na magawa po ito bago mag-December para naman po maayos yung ating balota at makasama sa botohan ng ating pong representatives yung ating mga kababayan sa mga EMBO barangays.
Gusto ko lang malaman, how crucial is the 300,000 voters within the EMBO barangays? I mean,
375,000.
Ano bang distrito ito? What could this, this decision, how crucial is it to the winner? The congressman or congresswoman winning.
Actually, I'm more concerned actually here, Gretch, about the constituents. Kasi 375,000 people in the EMBO barangays, they will not be represented in the legislature. That's kind of worrying. Also, to take into consideration, Attorney Rex, na syempre marami rin pong public services na dumadaan po sa office po ng mga district congressmen. I know this is not in your, kumbaga, wala naman to, no, sa inyo, sa trabaho ninyo, rather, at sa jurisdiction ninyo. But I just can't help but wonder, gano'n na lang ba? Is that constitutional to leave that many people without a congressional representation?
That's correct, Ma'am Shawn. Actually, I fully agree with you po na ang tinitingnan po ng COMELEC dito, it's not necessarily the whether swing vote ba ito para sa isang kandidato, it will affect the candidacy or the running for office ng isang partido. Ang tinitingnan po talaga namin dito, kaya nga po maaga nagsabi na ang COMELEC through Chairman Garcia, anong desisyon, kasi kailangan po talaga magkaroon ng representante sa House of Representatives ang mga kababayan natin. Tama po kayo, yung services ang tinitignan namin, yung kanilang interest, dahil alam naman po natin yung mga batas patungkol sa taxes, appropriations, lahat po yan, ilan lamang sa dapat manggaling sa House of Representatives. Kaya nga po, sabi ni Chairman Garcia, sinabi na ng maaga, makakilos ang dapat makakilos, be it sa batas o sa desisyon. Ang importante po, alam ng lahat ng sitwasyon dahil wala naman pong kapangyarihan ng COMELEC na magdesisyon sa bagay na ito.
Okay, another follow-up on that. What happens now to Makati's 2nd District where these barangays used to belong to? Ngayon, 3 barangay na lang ang natitira. What I know based on law is we need 250,000 na population to form a congressional district. Meron pa po bang 250K na natitira doon sa 3 barangay sa District 2 ng Makati? And will they continue being the 2nd District of Makati?
Tama po kayo, Ma'am Shawn. That's actually the other side of the coin. Kung malalaman nga po natin, malilipat sa Taguig, yung 300,000 na yan, saan mang legislative district, ano ang mangyayari naman po dun sa natirang 3 barangay na natitira dun sa 2nd district? Again po, the same decision ng COMELEC, the same pronouncement, wala po kaming magagawa dyan kundi patuloy na kilalanin ang existence ng 2nd District of Makati despite the fact na hindi na po umabot sa minimum requirements ng ating Section 5 and 6 ng Constitution na dapat at least 250,000 ang constituents dyan. Ang sinasabi na lang po namin dito rin kasi, ang may kapangyarihan din po, kung ang Kongreso ang may kapangyarihan gumawa ng legislative district, Kongreso lamang din ang may kapangyarihan po na mag-dissolve or mag-reapportion o kaya po anumang amendment dyan sa distrito na yan. At yun din po ang inaasahan namin na sana makasama po sa mga paggalaw na hinihintay natin bago dumating ang halalan.
Okay, lipat naman tayo. We know, ibang topic, upcoming midterm elections. Oh my goodness, I think we have less than a year left. We know that nagdemo po ang Miru sa inyo. May delegation from the COMELEC along with some media members who went to Korea to check. How was it po? Wala naman pong hiccups.
Napakaganda po ng planta ng Miru sa ating pong Republic of South Korea at yun nga pong initial batches po nila na 20 at dumating na rin po yung 100 dito. All of them work flawlessly. In fact po dun sa mga voters education demo na ginagawa na namin ngayon, yun na pong mga bagong makina yan ang ginagamit na po namin. At nakikita nga rin po namin sa aming mga pagsasanay katulad dun sa Independence Day, maganda po ang reaction at reception ng ating mga kababayan. Pamilyar na sila dun sa itsura ng balota, pamilyar na po tayo kung paano ginagamit ang pagsubo ng balota, pag-shade ng balota. Ang pinakamagandang component po dito kasi doon pa lamang po sa botante nakikita na nila kung paano binasa, binilang at ni-record ang kanilang balota. Walang question bukod pa po doon sa resibo. So ilan lamang po ito sa advantages ng ating tinatawag na automated counting machine.
Kamusta naman po yung online voting para naman sa mga overseas Filipinos? Naayos na po ba natin? Anong magiging proseso?
Thank you po, Ma'am Gretchen. Nung isang araw nga po ay napirmahan na po sa pagitan ng COMELEC at ng joint venture ng SMS Global at Sequent yung ating pong gagamitin na online voting and counting system o mas kilala bilang internet voting. Ito po yung nakikita naming solusyon sa mababang voters turnout pagdating ng halalan. Kung matatandaan niyo po ng 2022 elections, meron po tayong 1.6 million overseas registered voters. Pero ang bumoto lamang po sa pamamagitan either na pagpunta sa konsulado at embahada o yung iba po ay pinapadala na namin ang mga balota sa kanilang bahay, libre pong maibabalik through the Postal Service, wala pang 40%, nasa 600,000. So sa pamamagitan po siguro ng internet voting, dalawa ang makikita namin pagbabago. Mas gaganahan ang ating mga kababayan na bumoto dahil napakadali. Cellphones, tablets, laptops, or their personal computers, basta may camera, makapag-enroll sila dun sa sistema, mabigyan sila ng passwords at account at ma-capture, ma-live capture ang kanilang itsura, ay makakaboto sila. Lalong-lalo na po yung mga marine seafarers na hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon ay nasa lupa para sila'y bumoto. Ikalawang advantage po na nakikita namin ay yung kababaan po ng gastos ng ating pamahalaan. Noong 2022 elections, gumastos po tayo ng mahigit kumulang 417 million pesos out of the 40% turnout lang po. At dito po ang ating kontrata ay aabot lamang sa 100 million pesos. Ganong kababa po ito. So nakikita po namin, ito na ang solusyon sa ating problema na yan sa overseas voting.
Attorney Rex, just wanted to follow up. Medyo talamak ngayon ng cybersecurity threats. So may ensure ba yung safety nitong online voting sa midterm elections?
That's correct, Ma'am Paulino. Nung kinraft po ng COMELEC ang ating terms of reference, number 1 po talaga sa priority yung defense against cybersecurity, against po ng breaches. At importante po, dalawang bagay. auditability, and error recovery system. Number 1 po yan. Kaya nga po nung tayo ay nagpa-bidding, public bidding po dito, kasama po yan sa component na tinignan namin. At yung mga lumaban po dito sa ating bidding, pinakita at pinatunayan nila na naggamit ang sistema sa ibang bansa, hindi na-hack, may mga laban sa defenses, at kayang pong improve level by level yung ating defenses dito. At yun po yung nakita natin dito sa nanalong bidder, bukod sa mababa po yung kanyang pagkakabid, ay tumugma po at na-comply niya ang lahat ng requirements natin. At any rate po, in every stage of the enrollment, to the voting, to the counting, the transmission of votes, pati na rin po yung pagbilang at pag-canvas ng votes sa mga konsulado at embahada, lahat po ito ay pwedeng i-audit, lahat po ito ay merong transparency measures.
Alright, mahaba-haba pang usapan natin dito. I mean, we have a few months and we hope that things get resolved as soon as possible. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Comelec spokesman, Attorney Rex Laudianco.
Another quick break for now, but right after that, Senator Bato de la Rosa is opting to skip the House hearings on the Duterte drug war, saying it goes against interparliamentary courtesy. More on that when we return. Keep it here.
Welcome back. You're still watching a big story here on One News. Senator Bato de la Rosa says he will not be attending the House's hearing on the war on drugs. In explaining this decision, de la Rosa says he's only heeding the advice of Senate President Chis Escudero. Speaking to Radyo 5's Ted Filon and DJ Chacha, de la Rosa explained that Escudero is against the House summoning senators every time they get caught up in certain issues, noting that this goes against interparliamentary courtesy. De la Rosa says he will only attend the House proceedings if former President Rodrigo Duterte will also be present. De la Rosa served as chief of the PNP during the height of the Duterte drug war. Senate President Escudero also noted in a statement that Senator Bato told him that he is not inclined to attend the House hearing and that the Senate President supports whatever decision Bato will arrive at. Escudero explains further that interchamber courtesy dictates that the House may issue invites to members of the Senate, but it cannot and should not issue compulsory process against a member of a co-equal chamber.
And here to talk to us more about the House's drug war probe, we have with us on the show Senator Bato de la Rosa himself, and he's joining us via Zoom. Good evening, Senator, and thank you for taking the time tonight.
Good evening, Gretchen, Shawn at Pauline, at sa ating mga viewers, mga followers. Good evening po.
Okay, Senator, you said that you are just heeding the advice of Senate President Chis Escudero to you na you do not have to attend the House's probe dahil dito sa tinatawag na interparliamentary courtesy. Pero Senator, does this apply in this case? Kasi itong interparliamentary courtesy is actually an unwritten rule in Congress, di ba? Where the House cannot meddle with the affairs of the Senate and vice versa. But in this case, you are being invited po by the House to attend this probe. So can you tell us how this interparliamentary courtesy applies here?
Yes, interparliamentary courtesy is it is a time-tested tradition. It has been well enshrined in the institution ng Senado at ng lower house, yung pagrerespetuhan ng bawat chamber. So yan po, you cannot compel any member of the other house to be present or to appear during investigations. You may invite him, but he has the option to decline the invitation. So yun po ang ino-observe namin ngayon. At in my case, wala pong problema sa akin. I was inclined to attend, pero ayoko rin magiging president. I don't want to become the president as far as violating the interparliamentary courtesy tradition. So, ayoko ako mauna. Because kung i-violate natin yan at yan ang magiging norm, magiging president na yan, ay kawawa kami sa Senado, no? We are only 24. Kapag merong senador na implicate ang pangalan sa ongoing House investigations, ay pwedeng i-compel nilang mag-attend and wala na mangyari sa aming mga legislative functions. 24 lang kami, mabuti sila sa House, ay 300 plus sila. marami pa sa kanila magtatrabaho. Kami 24 lang. So that's the problem there.
Can we clarify also yung sinabi ninyo, Senator Bato, na pupunta lamang kayo doon sa hearing kung pumunta din si dating Presidente PRRD. Can you explain? So kung pupunta nga ba siya? Would you know? And if he does go, does that mean you will also go or have you changed your mind?
Well, I have in a quandary, no? When it comes to that point na talagang pupunta siya. Hindi ko rin siya pwede pabayaan na pupunta doon na hindi ako makasama because we were together in launching the war on drugs. Siya yung presidente, I was his chief implementer ng war on drugs. So, siguro, magpapaalam ako sa aking Senate President to be there, to join the President kung sakaling pupunta ang ating Pangulo.
Okay, have you spoken to the President about this? And have you officially declined the invitation of the House?
Well, as of now, I cannot officially decline because I have not officially received their invitation. So,
Pero paano nga ba kayo naimbitahan?
Oo, may sulat ba? Ganon? Like official business letter? Tatawagan lang ba yung Chief of Staff ninyo? How does it work?
Maybe during the hearing doon sa lower house, nabanggit siguro yung change of heart ng chairman na si Congressman Abante na noon kasi early on during their previous hearing, sinabi ni Congressman Abante, the chairman of Human Rights Committee of the lower house, na hindi daw niya kami imbitahan dahil nga he respect first, the President, the former President, at saka ako in observance of the interparliamentary courtesy, i-inform lang daw niya kami na mayroong kaganaping hearing. Kung gusto namin dumalo, ay maganda, pero i-inform lang daw kami. But this time around, yung last na hearing ata nila, sinabi na niya na imbitahan na kami. So, knowing the chairman, si Congressman Abante, he is a veteran lawmaker. Alam niya yung interparliamentary courtesy. So siguro, na-pressure lang siguro siya sa kanyang mga kasamahan dyan, na mga makakaliwa dyan sa House of Representatives na pinipressure siya na imbitahan talaga kaming dalawa ni Pangulong Duterte. So kaya siguro sabi niya, imbitahan niya kami. Pero hindi pa nakapadala ng official invitation. Wala pa natanggap ang aking opisina. So, hindi ako maka-officially decline din.
Okay. So, kumbaga sa madaling salita is the invitation was just verbal and hindi siya official.
Well, that may be official because it was put on record doon sa kanilang hearing. It was said during their hearing, yung formality lang naman yung papel na magdating sa atin. Pero it was put on record during the hearing na imbitahan daw kami. So that is official already.
Okay, Senator, puntahan po natin yung malaking balita kahapon. 3 Dutertes running for the Senate. You expressed support over this decision, but some are actually thinking this might be a move against the ICC probe. Your thoughts? Have you spoken to the Duterte camp on this? O meron ba kayong binubuong alyansa para lumakas muli ang Duterte camp dito nga sa Senado?
Well, to be honest, ako rin mismo nagulat ako sa balita na yon. But then again, I'm happy for that information. That is a very welcome development kung saan kasi nakikita namin ngayon, no, before that announcement, na dalawa na lang kami ni Senator Bongo na magwe-wage ng guerrilla type of campaigning because hindi kami admin candidate, hindi rin kami opposition candidate. Nasa gitna kami, so hahanap kami ng paraan namin, diskarte na lang. Pero sabi namin, we will be waging a very lonely campaign. Pero with this development, na madagdagan kami ng 3 Duterte, at saka kung tutuloy pa yung isang kasama namin na si Philip Salvador na tatakbo, magiging 6 kami. So that would be a very
Strong. Hindi po ba
happy.
hindi
Very
po ba
happy development.
hindi po ba nakakalito naman? Kasi ang sinabi sa amin ng political science professor yesterday also that this may be disadvantageous and there's such a thing as overstretching. Kumbaga, pag pare-pareho ang surname, nakakalito sa taong bayan, sino bang iboboto, at tandaan natin, no, 12 seats lang yung up for grabs next year. So hindi ba naisipin na baka ma-divide naman? Kung magkagulo, malito?
Well, anything goes. Lahat yan, posibilidad yan na mangyayari. Pero pwede rin, isang posibilidad na mangyayari na sa lakas ng pangalan ng Duterte, baka makalusot itong tatlo. Dahil nga, hanggang ngayon, hinahanap-hanap ng taong bayan yung Duterte brand of leadership. Hinahanap-hanap ng mga tao. Ang gusto ng ibang tao ngayon na sana kung pwede ibalik pagiging Pangulo si Pangulong Duterte, pero hindi naman pwede. So,
Senator,
titingnan natin. Anyway, there is no prohibition for them to run. Walang prohibition. They can run. They can file their certificate of candidacy pagdating ng panahon.
Senator Bato,
Hintayin na lang natin ano maging-desisyon ng
Bawal
pambayan.
na kasi mag-substitution, di ba, sabi ng COMELEC. Kaya siguro lahat na lang. No, para ano tingin niyo doon? Hindi, kasi alam naman natin, di ba, Sen Bato, na ang mga Duterte, it's happened in the past na may substitution na nagaganap. Ngayon na bawal na, it could also be a tactic or sa strategy since iba na nga ang system.
If you can remember, nag-file ako ng COC for presidency during the last election,
Yes, I
di ba?
remember.
Hoping na baka magbagong isip ni Inday Sara na tatakbong presidente at siya ang magpalit sa akin. But yun nga, nangyari, Vice President ang tinakbuhan niya. Pero ngayon, wala na yung ganong sistema. Binawal lang ng COMELEC.
Senator, sabi ni former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque na si Sara Duterte is the new face or the new leader of the opposition. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Do you agree that the Dutertes are the new opposition? And if so, will you join them?
Well, I will answer your second question. Wherever they go, I will be there for them. I will be there to support them because malaking utang na loob ko sa kanila. Kung walang Bato de la Rosa, kung walang Digong Duterte, malaking tulong po siya sa aking career, sa pagkapulis ko at sa pagiging senador ko. So, sasama ko sa kanila. But, ang problema ngayon is yung talaga bang sila ba ang face of opposition? Hintayin na lang natin, huwag natin pangunahan dahil wala pa namang official announcement si VP Sara na she will lead the opposition. Wala pa naman siya sinabi. Hintayin na lang natin kung anong magiging development nito later.
Mayor Baste Duterte for president in 2028. Sang-ayon ba kayo?
As I've said, wala namang prohibition yan.
Hindi, pero kayo po mismo. Kayo po, ano pong tingin nyo doon? Kilala nyo po sila, yung pamilya nila eh.
He is qualified. He is qualified. He is a very good mayor. He's a very good mayor in Davao City. And he is qualified. Nasa kuha niya siya. Nasa genes niya yung Duterte brand of leadership.
Ito na lang, Senator, no? Pasensya na, kailangan ko lang itanong. I think you might have some more insight on this. Like you said nga, you go where the Dutertes go. It proves your loyalty. What about Senator Bongo? Recently kasi, medyo na patutsadahan siya ni Mayor Baste sa kanyang Facebook page. Meron po bang alitan doon? Would you know if your co-senator Bongo will also stay with the Dutertes no matter where they go?
Yeah, I hope that internal matter can be resolved immediately. We can fix that and I hope we can sort things out para hindi kami magkawatak-watak. Solid pa rin kami. So, sana mapag-usapan yan. Hopefully, ASAP mapag-usapan yung sitwasyon yan. And I am sure Senator Bongo is doing his thing para mag-usap sila.
Okay, Senator, how are things at the Senate now? We do know na nagkapalitan nga sa leadership. How is your relationship with the former Speaker after, or the former Senate President rather, after the ouster, quote-unquote? Nakapag-usap ba kayo?
Well, nag-usap kami nung last day of the yung right after the change of leadership. And alam na, medyo masama pa yung loob niya dahil nga sa nangyari, naintindihan ko rin. So I hope we can move on from that.
Ito last na
Ako naman
last na talagang tanong, Sen. 2019 pa po kayo nakaupo, so that means you are up for re-election next year. Tuloy pa rin po ba? Have you decided? Are you sure that you're going to run for the midterms?
Sure na yan. Tatakbo ako, andito na ako eh. I will try. Magpaparelect tayo, baka susurtin tayo. Ako hindi naman surtin, then pasensya. Let the people decide kung gusto pa nila tayong magsiservisyo.
Pero Senator, yung move ng mga Dutertes to run, 3 po sila, nagulat po kayo doon?
Nagulat.
Oo, ibig sabihin kasi yung iba iniisip na baka ito yung effort ng House of Duterte to solidify yung mga alyansa niya kasi parang kung binibilang namin yung mga kaalyado, aabot sa 12. Walang ganong usapan.
Ganyan very fluid ang sitwasyon dyan eh. Alam mo na yung sa amin sa Senado, no? We are 24 independent republics. So pagdating dyan sa kung anong block ka pupunta, yung iba dyan, naghihintay lang yan eh. Kung sana mas marami, sasama yan doon. So ganun lang yan. That's politics in the Senate.
Ganon din kayo, Senator.
Ha?
Ganon din ba kayo?
Ganun talaga. Ganun nangyari sa akin. Dahil bago nag-change of leadership, I was working hard for Migs na sana hindi siya mapalitan. Yun nga lang, nangyari is yung aking dalawang kasama sa PDP, si Senator Tolentino at sa Senator Bongo ay lumipat doon sa kabila. At meron kaming usapan na majority rules. Kung sino kung may dalawa na papunta doon sa isa, yung isa na hindi pupunta, obligadong sumama. So yan yung aming agreements within the party. So ang nangyari nga, pumunta sila doon sa kabila. So at kinausap ako after the battle has been won, after everything was decided already. Pinuntahan ako ni Senator Chis at saka ni Senator Alan Cayetano na sinabihan ako na, Bato, we already have 14 votes. We only need 13 votes to grab the power. We already have 14. Hindi na namin kailangan ang boto mo. But since nalaman namin na pupunta ka daw sa minority, well, nakikiusap kami sa iyo na huwag kang pumunta sa minority. Please stay with the majority. So yun, sumama ako sa kanila. Majority pa rin ako. Pero tapos na. Decided na yung leadership noon. Dahil tapos na. 14 votes na sila eh. Pang 50 na lang ako.
Okay. Senator, medyo kapos na po tayo sa oras, but thank you for joining us tonight here on The Big Story. Once again, that was Senator Bato de la Rosa.
Right, moving on to the spate of hackings that have been plaguing both the public and private sector. Authorities have started the preliminary investigation into the alleged series of hackings on private and government websites. The NBI Cybercrime Division presented evidence before the Department of Justice against 3 suspected hackers that are now under police custody. The NBI has also issued a subpoena against Manila Bulletin tech editor Art Samaniego, who is being accused of ordering the hackings, allegedly for those to be used as content in his articles at the paper. Manila Bulletin has already launched an internal investigation on this matter and has put Samaniego and the arrested personnel, alias Kangkong, under preventive suspension. In a text message to News 5, Samaniego said he is fully committed to cooperating in resolving the matter and to clear his name as soon as possible. But until then, he says that he will not be issuing any public statements out of respect to the ongoing investigation of the NBI. Meanwhile, the DICT assured Samaniego that he will have due process.
For Art, my advice is let's face, he trusts the process, face the case. He will be given ample time to prepare for his defense. Let's also understand that number one, he's not yet indicted. Number two, it's an allegation.
Naman tayo sa balitang sports. It is day 3 for our Olympic athletes in Metz, France as they continue their preparations for the Olympic Games Paris 2024. Up early is the Philippine national weightlifting team who are already putting in the work with stretching, calisthenics, and warm-up jogs at 6 a.m. sharp in Metz. 3 Filipino weightlifters are set to compete in the Olympics in Elrene Ando, John Ceniza, and Vanessa Sarno. After warming up, they enjoyed a well-deserved meal before going back to training at exactly 9 a.m. Filipina rower Joni Delgaco is also hard at work in Metz. Delgaco has been focusing on her strength and conditioning building up to Paris 2024. According to her coach, Ed Mayrina, Delgaco has adjusted well to the new training environment and has been even using a Philippi boat, a heavier kind of boat designed to help rowers in their training.
In the U.S., President Joe Biden squares off once again with former President Donald Trump in a debate hosted by CNN. We've got front row seats for that, as well as pre- and post-debate analysis hosted by our very own Regina Lay and One News senior editor Ed Leal Guo. They'll be giving us a deeper look at the upcoming U.S. presidential elections this November and talk us through what's at stake for the Philippine economy and national security. Catch Biden or Trump, the Philippine interest, live on June 28, Friday, starting at 8 a.m. only here on One News.
All right, it's going to be another eventful week as it looks like. But
Nakalimutan natin yung halalan, meron nga pala doon. No?
Meron
On
sa
the other side
November.
of the world.
November, I mean, I don't know. Ako hindi ko siya nakakalimutan. But again, the debate will be happening this Friday, Thursday night in the United States. And that's it for the big story on this Wednesday night.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thanks for tuning in and have a good night.